I was sitting there and I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? You can't even realize, like, you can't even hold yourself accountable. It's everyone else's problems. And they were all upset and pissed off because he's going around telling the other tenants that they're not paying their rent on time. What's up, guys, and welcome to the Give It Gas podcast, where we talk about business, finance, both on the personal and the business side, a little bit of e-commerce, just everything we're learning as we're continuing to go through business. My name is Travis.
And I'm Dylan.
Got Dylan with me today. And we are, I am pooped.
Yeah.
Came in hype, but let's get real for a second. Today, guys, we are going to talk about self-accountability and how you really need to have it if you are going to succeed more than 1 or 2 years in business. But really, you should have it, period, even on like a personal side of things, because you're not going to succeed anywhere in life if you can't hold yourself accountable. And I feel like we're living in a world nowadays where, especially my generation and younger, no one wants to take accountability for anything. It's all their own fault.
Yeah, it's everybody
Constantly.
else's fault.
So, Dylan, what errand did we run yesterday?
Yeah, so
This is story time.
yeah, it is. So we went to the warehouse, put a down deposit on it, and then went and actually, we didn't think we were going to get to see the warehouse, but the tenants that were there that have it until May 1st were there, so they had it open. We kind of peeked a look in, and they were like, well, come on in, take a look.
It was great, right? I was like, perfect. We can look around a little bit. We can start to plan where we're going to put all the mill out stuff, Shalo-tek stuff, which we'll start. We're actually going to do a video series of this on our YouTube channel going forward, of like how we're going to build out the whole thing. But we're going to have a cool little podcast area in there and everything. But we walk in there. First guy, he's an older gentleman. He was nice, and then I asked the same thing I always ask when I find other tenants in an area. This one I had already signed a lease. This isn't normally like me, but I just needed the space. I don't really care. We're probably only going to be in there for a year. We're going to outgrow it quickly. But I was like, how's the landlord? Just met him, seemed like a nice guy, but how is he as we're going to say a boss, right? He's not really your boss, but he's the one that controls what you can't do in there, if things get maintained, all that stuff. And the younger girl, I'm going to say she was in her late 20s, mid 30s.
Yeah.
She couldn't have been more than mid 30s.
Right.
Like, couldn't. She was like, he's okay. I'm like, okay. And I'm looking around a little bit more, and I'm like, my character, I'm going to start poking buttons. Like,
Yeah, you're sitting there like, well, what is he like? She's like, well, I don't want to throw him under the bus or do anything like that.
and I'm thinking in my head, okay, maybe he doesn't maintain things quick enough.
Right.
Something stupid. Okay, he's, he gets onto you for loud noise. I don't know. That's a stupid thing. But I was thinking of stupid things going through my head. And then we poked a little bit more, and she finally came around. She's like, well, we're leaving in a month anyways. What do I really care? And she went on to tell us about how he complains because she doesn't pay her rent on time. But she swears that she cuts her rent checks on the 3rd of every month. Now, the rent is due on the 1st of every month. There is a grace period that I saw in the lease. As long as it's in his hands by the 5th of every month, there's no penalty. Nothing.
Yeah.
What a nice guy. Most landlords aren't like that, right? So, rent's due on the 1st of every month, grace period through the 5th of every month. After that, it starts tacking on fees. Okay. She says she regularly cuts her checks on the 3rd of every month. That's not the 1st. That's not even in his hands on the 1st.
Yeah.
And then not only does she cut her checks on the 3rd, she doesn't want to drive to him, which she even told us he has offered to hand it to him in person. She wants to put it in the mail. We all know, we talked about this last podcast, that mail cannot be the best thing for you. It goes slow. There's no guarantees through it.
Yeah.
So he's not getting these checks till the 7th, 8th, 9th, right? That is not rent on time, people. It's very simple. And I wanted to tell her that, but there was no reason for me to start poking those buttons. But
Yeah.
she couldn't even realize that she wasn't paying her rent on time. In her mind, she's like, well, I'm cutting it before the 3rd, and there's a grace period till the 5th. I don't care if he doesn't get it till the 6th or the 7th. I'm cutting it by the 3rd. There's a thing on the, like, it's post-dated for the 3rd. Come to find out, when he got on the phone with me later, he never sees them post-dated for the 3rd. They're always post-dated for the 6th or the 7th or the 8th. So she's, the date on the check is the 3rd, but that's about it. But I was sitting there and I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Mm-hmm. You can't even realize, like, you can't even hold yourself accountable. It's everyone else's problems. And they were all upset and pissed off because he's going around telling the other tenants that they're not paying their rent on time. And furthermore, she told me that because we grabbed a smaller space, we didn't need to get into a bigger space just yet. I like really cash flowing things and being comfortable. She said that they went into the smaller space with the intent to go into the bigger space. And then a bigger space opened up and she went and asked if they could have it. And he said no. Well, no crap. And they were surprised by that. Like, You're not paying your rent on time. And she was literally blaming him for, like, all of their problems.
Yeah.
Like, oh, all that stuff. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, this is all your fault. Your rent is literally due on the 1st. You should be cutting it on the 20th.
Yeah.
So it's sitting there. Or at least the, 30th.
Yeah.
And then put it in the mail. And then that's what your 5-day grace period is for those 5 or 6 days that it's going to take to travel a town over to the address that he actually wants a town. Like, are you freaking kidding me?
Crazy.
So, guys, lesson of the day. You got to hold yourself accountable. In business, if you think you can blame everyone else for your issues, you're going to get squashed really quickly. When you start shipping things out and you're telling your customers it's going to be 3 or 4 days and UPS is taking longer than 3 or 4 days, that blame is only going to last so long. You either need to tell your customers it's going to take things longer, or you need to ship them out earlier and then tell your customers they're shipped out a day or 2 later. Like, you need to take accountability for all your issues. Cut your checks on time. That's very simple, right? But for people that aren't in business, but are just listening for the personal finance side of things and stuff, you are going to get squashed in regular daily life if you don't hold yourself accountable. Your landlords don't care for your personal rent. Your utilities don't care because you were late there. Your bosses don't care because they have a job to do as well. I saw a funny meme, and it was, and this is kind of off topic, but it's not really. There's a guy that was like, he was like, why do you work? Or why do you work for us? And that was the manager, and the employee was like, well, I work for the money. And the guy was like, well, that's ridiculous. Why would you only work for us for the money? And then the guy comes back and he says, well, why did you hire me? And the manager is like, for the, and it's like started to spell out money. And then it stopped and it's like, no, duh. Like, the circle goes around. Everyone likes to sing like this hoopla of like, oh, I love working here. Well, ultimately at the end of the day, I would love to be vacationing more than anything else. Like, I will sit my happy butt on a yacht and be good about it. So like, I work for the money. There's some other sources around there, but I work for the money and I hire people to provide me money at the end of the day that then I can provide money back. It's a circle. So those people are not going to keep people around that can't hold themselves accountable.
Yeah.
No one's looking for the blame game, but dude, it's like we're living in a freaking world nowadays where no one wants to take accountability. Look at it everywhere. Mm-hmm. Just literally college, like kids in college. No one wants to, I know someone, my sister-in-law was telling me about somebody who was in her college, like in her classes, that they were getting bad grades. It's actually, she said it's like running through the whole, like everyone's getting bad grades, right? Or you know what? We'll just dumb this down. I even saw this in freaking high school, right? It was never your study habits. It's like we started this really early on in life and we're just continuing to grow up in this. I don't know if it's how our parents raised our generation or what. And it's literally just continues to trickle, but it's never your study habits. It's like, oh, the teacher made the exam too hard. Or I couldn't get the book in time because the shipper was delayed.
I just didn't study.
I did, yeah. But like, you'll admit it. No one wants to admit it anymore. Oh, the best one. We can actually bring this into business right now. We do a lot of PT gear for the Florida Department of Corrections academies, right? They have known about their PT gear this most recent, we see this every single time, but this is really recent right now. They've known that they need to get the stupid PT gear for about 4 weeks now. A majority of the people. Some people have been shoved in this academy last minute. It's not their fault. It's not our fault. We're doing the best we can. But there are people that have known about this for 4 weeks. And they started the academy last week, and they're just now calling to get their PT gear. And they needed it last week, and they really need it on Thursday.
Yeah.
But now their delayedness, they're turning into my problem, and they're blaming me for not doing things quickly enough for them when our lead time is a week. It's very simple. The instructors know this. What's great, though, is they'll go complain to the coordinators, but we've been doing business for so long that the coordinators already know it's probably BS, but they'll call us and they'll say, like, hey, why is this taking so long? And I'll say, hey, Jim Bob didn't come in and even order his PT gear till yesterday. But like full grown adults, you got to hold accountability, people.
Yeah.
It's very simple. Be self-accountable. If you're not, you're going to get crushed. You're definitely not going to make it in business. I think I asked you yesterday, I'm like, why do you think these people are making it right now? Because it blows my mind. And they're in the what business?
They're in the construction business.
They're in the construction business.
And if anybody knows anything about
booming.
construction right now, prices for lumber have doubled, almost tripled.
It's insane. So like,
it's crazy.
they are lucky, and you will be lucky. You may be lucky for a few years, but you're not going to grow a sustainable business out of that. You're not going to grow as a great employee in that. And in all honesty, you're just not going to grow as a great person in that. You're not going to keep your health up. You're not going to get your finances right. You're not going to, and if you're listening to this podcast, obviously you want to do those things. You're not going to do those things without holding yourself accountable.
Yeah.
But while you're at it, hold the people around you accountable as well. That's my little topic. So quick one today, kind of just jumped in here. We are super busy running full force right now, but we're going to try to keep this up. We're going to hold ourselves accountable to what we said, and we're just going to keep dropping podcasts and get better as we go. So if you're not liking how this is going, let us know.
Yeah.
If you don't like these past two ones, I'm sorry. We're doing our best right now.
It's like these past two have been like clutch trying to get them in.
Just like,
try to get the repetitions.
Just traveling. We're literally,
because,
we're just trying to get repetitions.
Yeah,
because
we're trying to get caught up right at the moment. So.
Yeah. So we're here. We're hanging. Please let us know what you like, what you don't like. We want to get better at this because we want to keep doing this. I am actually starting to enjoy this now. I used to always come in like super timid and like energy up and adrenaline up. Now it just feels kind of more fun to just come in here and hang out. I can't wait to get a few guests on, but I'm super busy over the next few weeks, so probably won't be till May, but I'm at least going to try to get a buddy of mine that does all of our ads and start talking about, if I can get him on multiple times and start talking about all the different ways that you can be advertising and the correct ways to do it, that'd be great. So hang with us. We're only going to get better. At least that's our goal. We're only going to get better.
Yeah.
If you're watching on YouTube, you can find us where for just audio?
Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts.
One of those days.
So check us out on any of those platforms.
And if you're just listening to us on audio, we appreciate you for doing that. But if you want to see our gorgeous faces, you can find us on YouTube. And then we also have a bunch of other videos that we only drop on YouTube that aren't really podcasts. It's some after hours fun playing. It's also some business stuff too. We drop some business stuff in there that we wouldn't normally, it doesn't work for a podcast. Like we just walked through a building and did a walkthrough of what I normally look for when we're looking for a new retail space. So thanks for hanging out, guys. We appreciate it.
We'll see you guys later.
We'll see you next time.